Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A historic day in the history of the universe. Xavi Simons is a Tottenham player. 60 million quid plus all the add-ons you can possibly carry. Very young man, 22 years of age. Bundesliga CV, yes, please. I'm not going to do it on here because it'll be utterly boring. It'll be like someone describing the Mona Lisa down the phone. But I've done the radars and stuff. And he matches up to everybody we've been looking at. I think it's a stellar signing. I think it's tremendous business. But let's talk for the next hour about how frustrated we have been with Spurs anyway, because you don't get your star business done at the 11th hour. I don't subscribe to that at all. You might do when Real Madrid phone you and say, hey, would you like so-and-so Van der Vaart? That's fine, but that's not you actually involved. Tony, yet another bloody transfer window. I'm glad to see your CV has been sent in to Lily White House to the attention of the bald bastardos. And we have Mr. Christoph B. himself. Today is too expensive. He appears to have taken a step back from his change for Tyrannosaurus. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you? Tony, what's your reaction to that killer transfer news?
Well, let's get them in early, shall we, H? If Levy was a serial killer, a la Fred and Rose, etc., etc.
Bam! There we go. It's a world record. 1 minute 49 seconds.
He is as consistent as a serial killer with his MO, isn't he? In the transfer window, does exactly the same thing year in, year out, and yet we still somehow end up being surprised and optimistic at the start that we're actually going to do some decent business.
Yeah. I mean, the Mohammed Kudus thing sort of set us up for a fall. Sorry to anybody sat there going, but what's about Sansa? What's about Sansa? Players that were already on our books. It's taking care of business, but it isn't fresh business. And fresh business is our business, baby. That's all we're interested in. Chris, how have you received the news in your caravanette this morning?
Well, I'm slightly worried and concerned that you've been replaced by an AI-generated H, because you've never been happy about a transfer for many a year, and all of a sudden you're singing eternal optimism.
Well, I can explain this to some degree. Against the mixed messages I put out at the beginning of the week, I think I said to you specifically, this food poisoning is real. I've actually been poorly, and I haven't had a drink all week, and I'm now wondering if I may have found the path and the light. I feel fresher and better, despite the fact I was very sweaty and very nauseous for a couple of days. But no, listen. The reason I'm enthusiastic, and I'll be blunt with you, is I dug into this guy's data this morning, and I was thinking, here we bloody go, lastminute.com. But this is a player that anybody in their right mind would queue up and buy. He compares favourably to Eze, to Paz, to what was that guy's name, Pinchapi or whatever it was. All these clowns we've been looking at, and I say looking at FC.
You mean the Bayer Leverkusen left back?
That's it. The anagram. Yeah. He's no good. But no, this guy is looks to be the real deal.
I was a bit disappointed, H. I jumped into your live stream at the weekend, and I think you purposely chose to ignore my comment on screen.
Well, that could be because A, I'm incompetent, B, I'm inefficient, and C, who are you? And, it worked really well. I was going to talk about that a bit later, but that worked really well. I'm sorry if I missed your comment. Was it crucial? Would it have taken things in a different turn?
And D, I wanted you to admit that Palhinha was probably one of the best players on the park last Saturday after your tirade of abuse when we signed him.
Who?
Palhinha, that midfield maestro who was cracking
Oh yeah,
people.
yeah. Well, hang on. We're jumping the gun here. I was going. We'll come to the live thing later, but let me just say, I changed my spots enormously during that. I've never ever given so much praise to Richarlison. So if you want to have a dig at me for not making bumbling "We Are Tottenham" TV noises over Palhinha, who has played a couple of games and his legs haven't fallen off yet and all that sort of thing. That's fine, but don't take the other stuff which is just sat there on a plate for you. Just ignore that. Walk past the stuff that doesn't fit your vengeful narrative.
Yeah. You're on mute, Tone. I can't read.
Tony.
I'm so professional, and I've only been away. I can't even fuck with this properly.
And you were replaced very quickly, I have to add.
Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah, I noticed that. You twat.
Sorry, I didn't mean quickly. I meant effortlessly.
Oh dear. Isn't it? And I've said this on our chat, haven't I? Isn't it so obvious what a proper coach does for players? You get players like Richarlison, who's like been a dead donkey for God knows how long. Suddenly, he gets a coach that actually knows how to coach and actually can communicate his wishes to a player, and all of a sudden, he looks a completely different person. I know it's only two games into the season proper, so we've got to see how it goes long term. But as they say, there's acorns there, isn't it? There's acorns of growth there, and it's really great. It's really good to see. I mean, he was instrumental in a lot of what happened on Saturday. Absolutely instrumental in it.
I've got to say, Tone, I thought Bentancur looks like a player reinvented, sitting in the middle of the park alongside Palhinha. He's that player who's the ball's given to him and he's able to do the distributing, and we haven't seen that where he's been alongside a mismatch of very ordinary, untalented footballers for the last 18 months.
Mate, look up and see Bissouma next year. That's enough to make anybody cry.
But in fairness, Bissouma's got health issues. I mean, he wasn't able to pass.
He's alive.
Yeah. Well, the trouble is they plugged his brain in. But it was that. Do you remember that old joke about the US traffic cop pulling the bloke over? I think it was Emo Phillips or whatever it was. And he said he wanted to walk a straight line. And he said, at the time, all I could think of was, yes, officer. What I really wanted to say was the closest you could get to a straight line was if we plugged your brain into an ECG machine. and that was the deal with Bissouma. An absolute vacuous pile of pants. And by pile of pants, I mean you could see his pants every time he was out in public. Just an embarrassment. But just to say, what I would throw in, if we're gonna, act in such irrational manner and discuss everything ad hoc, but Thomas Frank is doing what I have been banging on about forever, which is, and he's the exception to the rule. That's the point. Is that most coaches have a fixed template. He doesn't. No. He is able to switch it up. Burnley and City were two very different tactical presentations. And anybody who didn't spot that needs their bumps felt.
I've got to say, your mate, Jed Spence at left back against City, didn't put a foot wrong. And you think for those
it's people... okay for me to sleep with some of them, but not all of them. That's what you say.
Yeah.
That's for Chris, mate.
That's why you've been unwell. It's not food poisoning; it's AIDS.
Can you get AIDS 3 times? I've had it twice before. Second time,
it's all that dodgy jizz guzzling, isn't it? I tell you.
Well, he'd know, wouldn't he? Our man with the wild stallions behind him.
Yeah, where is the industrial vacuum of jizz?
I'm not old enough to listen to this podcast.
If Chris bottled that, it'd be 1,000% proof.
Where is it that they go to run with the bulls? Is that where you were born?
Yeah.
His parents went on holiday there, and 3 weeks later, because his gestation period was rapidly advanced from other humans, out he popped.
Oh dear. Another day in paradise.
Morioka! He screamed to the gas and air nurse.
From an early age. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
So Thomas Frank has been somewhat of a revelation. We'll see how we get on. But as I say, the idea that you've got a coach who can comprehensively beat. Now, I found watching the City game, for those of you poor shower of bastards that tuned in, and it was very well received. I enjoy it. I won't be doing one this weekend because I'm busy. But they will carry on again because I enjoyed it a lot, and I was quite taken aback that I enjoyed it. But I think the secret is just say what you feel like saying, opposed to going "ooh, ah," which is beyond puerile. But we got two masterclasses. The City game was a tough watch. It felt like we were waiting, and I used the phrase a few times, a kitten playing with a mouse. We were waiting for the next paw to come across, and the first 20 minutes were particularly hairy. But as the old adage in football goes, if you keep pressing, you keep pushing, and you don't achieve anything, that can psychologically backfire on you. And I felt that definitely happened to City. And Spurs kept their shape, kept a straight back, straight bat, even to use the cricketing phrase, and just weathered on through. And the reality is we've beaten City before, but this time it felt more convincing. Maybe that doesn't make sense to some, but I thought that was an authoritative performance.
Well, what is
In
that?
some respects, I thought that was better than the 4-0 last season.
No, that's what I'm saying. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
What is it? The first time since 2017 we've kept back-to-back clean sheets in the Premiership.
Yeah.
And again, troweling it on, but playing two very contrasting styles of football, which didn't deviate from both sharing core values. The way that we played, the way that we thought our way through the game, was really quite evident. And Spurs, dare I say it, looked intelligent on the park. And I think for me, particularly the City game, Burnley may well be out of their depth in this division. I don't know. I mean, it's far too early to say. But I thought the way that we conducted ourselves it reeked of intelligence. I thought we looked like a smart footballing side.
Go on, Chris.
I can't disagree with anything like that. I just thought it's refreshing to see players being properly coached. It's refreshing to have a manager who'll throw five in at the back when need be, but he's also knows what he's going to do to negate the threat from the opposition. And for the last 18 months, we had that fat Australian twat just playing suicide ball. Midfield was run through easier than Bonnie Blue. And you had players who looked absolutely hopeless. And let's not forget, there were journalists at the beginning of the summer saying that there was a mutiny at Spurs, that every single player was pro-Ange and that they'd all want to leave. Well, what load of nonsense, because the only person to have gone is Son, who voluntarily went and was sold. So this guy, we've got to back him, but the early signs, and they are only early signs, are very encouraging, and there's a lot to be positive about.
I don't wish to be one of those people that prowls and stalks people online, but I have to say, Chris, are you being paid a small retainer by the Bonnie Blue people? Because her name keeps on being mentioned in a number of your tweets and
just my last browsing history. I really need to move on.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Chris, as you well know from our chats, is that Bonnie Blue may have gone through 1,000, but she hasn't been through Chris yet, and now that's more than 1,000 in one go.
Yeah, you could wipe the smile off these. You could wipe the smile off these influencers in just a few brief seconds, being in the same room as the sexual postcode.
It's whilst it's obviously upsetting from a personal player point of view, it's beginning to look like the Maddison injury is a slight blessing in disguise. Totally. Because we've now addressed a problem position that we even thought with Maddison there was still a problem position, and we're now with Simons hopefully coming in, and with Palhinha being in the midfield. Okay, he's not necessarily attacking midfielder, but he's certainly more aggressive, and he certainly gives the front 2, 3, depending on the formation, more to play at. And he actually jumps forward. A lot in the City game, he was in quite advanced positions a number of times. So therefore, to me, it seems like that, as Gay said, it's distressing. Nobody wants anybody to be injured long term. That could potentially turn out to be a blessing in disguise.
I think it's left the door open for alternatives to be considered. And I've got to say, I like Maddison, but he's too bloody inconsistent. And you could argue that's the case with a lot of Tottenham players. But Maddison, to me, isn't a panacea. He's not that one magic silver bullet solution. He's not a Gareth Bale. I don't mean in terms of eye-catching moments, but I mean in terms of his overall contributions. He can dip into the shadows and just get involved in these almost Scott Parker-esque tippity-tappity 180-degree spins. And we need somebody who's like, every time, for example, and there you go, Chris. I mean, just in case I'm on mute, but Mohammed Kudus, every time he gets the ball, he looks like he's going to cause the opposition a bloody headache.
And that's what
you can't say that about Maddison. I know they're different players, but you can't say that about Maddison.
And the blessing in disguise might be that Eze did pull our pants down when he had no intention of joining the club. As he's 28 on his next birthday, I've got a friend whose wife works in HR at Tottenham, and he's just messaged me to say that we pushed Simons' medical for at 4 a.m. this morning. There's a 7-year contract that he's agreed to, and he's going to sign that later today. He's 22 years of age. So if he lasted the duration of that contract, he's still only going to be 29. So you've got a 22-year-old international footballer who's played at some pretty good clubs along his career. So all of a sudden, are we actually that upset about missing out on Eze? That's the question.
No, he's a superior project to Eze. Like I said, I looked at the data. This isn't my opinion. It's my opinion based upon looking at facts, which aren't up for debate. He's a superior player. Yes, there are instances where they collide a little, but if you were going to pick one out of the list, and I can't remember who I did this morning, it was Eze, Paz, and might even been the Savinos from City. And generally speaking, if you in a blind taste test, you would pick Xavi. There's no two ways about it. He offers a hell of a lot, and his goal scoring is something worth considering. His goals from non-penalties and his ability to carry the ball, he just looks like a more mature version of Eze, if that makes any sense, which doesn't because he's younger. But it's listen, I think this is a great bit of business. It just says to me, in the cold light of day, that if we're buying such a good player because other opportunities clearly set fire to themselves before our naked steaming eyes in the transfer window, how crap is our transfer committee? Which is to say,
we have one.
Yeah.
I mean, but Lang and Levy between them are worse than one plateful of manure for your dinner. That somebody saying, "Oh, well, the bad news is we've only got manure again," but the good news is you've got 2 big deep dishes of it. That's the reality. Terrible fucking buying.
They're worse than going to see Harold Shipman when you've got a case of the flu.
Well, there you go. There you go. And 18 minutes 54. That's another marker in the storm there for you with 3 down and plenty of time to go. But no, I mean, this is a point I think worth making. Is that why are we buying excellent players when we have previously been humiliated by lesser players not wishing to come to us, or we've been so dumb that we haven't been able to read the room? Because like I said to you, that Morgan Gibbs-White thing, anybody wants to know what happened there, skip to the last bit, keep flicking the pages. He signed a 1-year extension.
So
there's
9mm.
there's a ringing endorsement for you. 1 year.
Yeah, when you've got a 9mm pistol held to the back of your head, you tend to do what you're asked to do.
As Tony knows all too well. What is the
Yeah,
safe word,
Stockholm
Tony?
syndrome, mate.
What is the safe word?
Daniel is a genius.
I've heard a couple.
Pass in
There's
peace.
a couple of whispers that I've heard, and one of them would really please me is Nathan Ake. Apparently, we've been speaking to City about him. 15 million, 30 years of age, can play left back and centre back, and he's a Dutch international, so he's got Mickey there, and he could soon have Xavi Simons there. But I think he fits a lot of boxes, and I think he brings that credibility and experience, and I'd welcome that if that could get off the ground.
No, I think it's a good idea. Good one.
I still think we could end up the window with Ademola Lookman as well, as that Atlanta need to sell. He's got the same agents as Kudus, and they're talking about being prepared to let him go 30, 35 million. So if you want some strength on the left side, he could play anywhere across the front three.
He's ripped up the Serie A, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah,
he's been absolutely on fire, isn't he? And you know how tough it is to play in Serie A.
You two are a pair of morons. Are you suggesting that Odebear's no good?
So Odebear was key to the Simons deal.
He's a project.
Best friends in the PSG youth team. So he was there yesterday, showing him around the training facility and the ground and everything.
Okay, listen. I will accept the information that we saw that he was showing him round, but the phrase I have issue with, he was key to the deal. You know, I can remember being great friends with people at school, but if I bumped into them in a supermarket, I'm not sure they'd be influencing what I put in my fucking trolley. You know, I may sound miserable, but I think there's reality and because we always get this. This is it goes back to me having this gripe about the infantilization, even if I could speak. That's funny, isn't it? But the fact that, you know, because they were, who cares? Who cares? How old were they? 15, 16, 17? And now you're talking about millions of pounds. Their careers have moved on, you know, unrecognisably, because Odebear is very fortunate to be at Tottenham.
I think what's been even more interesting in this whole transfer saga, what's going on now, is the fact that we know that Monsieur Lang has been on extended leave and completely absent from the whole thing. So really, how has any of this got anything to do with him?
I would suggest it doesn't have anything to do with him at all. And we're about to hear that he's been put on gardening leave because Levy threw a fit shortly after he got rid of the other nitwit that he hired. And this is the problem. You've got a bad recruiter who keeps on making the same stupid choices, but just with different faces from LinkedIn, and then says, "Oh, it's okay, everybody. I fired him. What a terrible person he was." Guys,
is he? Do you think this is a Paratici deal then, or I mean, who else has been getting involved in this? That's the thing. Well, who actually is dealing with our fucking transfer? Is the question.
Who was the Italian guy? Who's Gabbiadini or something? Gabbianello or something? He was one of Paratici's right hand men. He negotiated.
Really? Okay.
What's his name? I forget his name. But the suggestion is that Levy got rid of him, but Paratici only agreed to come back if he could bring this bloke back, and he was instrumental in some of the previous signings for Ange.
So Paratici owed him $8,000 from a card game. Get it?
Yeah.
You see the way I'm able to translate all of these mysterious phrases. It's wonderful. It's a talent. I don't know where I get it from.
But yeah, I think the sooner the recognition that Lang is crap, Villa celebrated his demise and him leaving the club. Yeah, we came in and all the warning signs were there. So we actually need people like your Paul Mitchells or the guys at Liverpool. We need footballing people who can transact those deals. At the moment, it's a mismatch and it's been a little bit of chaotic, to put it mildly.
But that's all down to one guy, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not pouring cold water on what you've said there, but we'll talk about that. So, Tony, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I'll just say the thing is that they said the big question is in all of this, who the hell is running the transfers? Because it can't be Levy, because Levy doesn't have this sort of acumen, because he consistently makes poor choices. So what? So who the hell is actually making these deals and getting these things across? Things like Xavi Simons is a real brilliant but left field signing. Nobody was predicting this whatsoever. This is happening with the same speed the Kudus one happened with. It was all of a sudden it was like bang, his name is being linked with bang, we've signed him now, which is fantastic. But in comparison to the other transfers, the sagas with Gibbs-White and Eze, it is completely different, and it just seems there's no what's the best? There is just no plan. There is no plan. There's no
chain. There's no chain of events that you can put together and piece it in.
Exactly. And
it's like reading a book. It's like reading a book that really picks up on the 6th chapter and then goes off the ball again later. And you think, hang on a minute, did somebody else come in and ghostwrite this bit?
Yeah, I reckon Chris Speed just got fed up. I reckon he got fed up and has just got involved, just gone in there with Daniel. Said, "Oh, Daniel, sort the fucking transfer window out. Let's have some of this."
I mean, personally, I abhor physical violence, but I think the solution to this mysterious quiz is that Daniel Levy and Paratici are both operating off of burner phones at the moment. I don't know what the legality of Paratici's involvement with Tottenham is.
Paratici is all legal. It's all legal. And Tony, when I walked into the boardroom with my Stetson on, my cowboy boots, and a big brass belt buckle.
A big what?
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Graham Mango.
He always arrives with a big brass.
I've just posted a couple of things in the group chat, and I think the second one is quite funny in my opinion. And the first one is that Italian guy that I was speaking of.
Leonardo Gababini.
He's not Marco's dad, is he? Or Marco's his dad?
Oh God, here we go. Left the club.
Armed security guards protected him. It's like that. It was like that meme going around, wasn't it?
So in breaking news, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club have hired multiple security guards to prevent other clubs from getting their hands on Xavi Simons as he signs.
What was the meme going around yesterday, wasn't it? It was Xavi Simons having his medical at Tottenham Hotspur this morning to be signed, and he'll be signed by Chelsea in the afternoon.
Tottenham Hotspur appointed Italian chief scout Leonardo Gababini in 2022, a role he held until 2023 when he left the club to allow for structural changes, after his involvement in player identification in the Ange Postecoglou era. So he was a casualty, it looks to me, reading not between the lines, but the lines. Ange didn't want him there, and he wanted to bring in some smackheads from Hibernian in his stead. Do you know, the more you sort of let that fester about Postecoglou, the worse he was for actual humanity. Forget.
I'm sorry. Who?
Postecoglou.
Who?
Did you see that?
Yeah. What are you, a fucking owl?
Did you see that wank puffin on the X the other day, Tony? He was planning to send a birthday card for Angela Postecoglou's 60th birthday.
That went really well.
And I think
right up your
wronging, mate.
Hyson Spurs on Twitter is very funny.
He was
completely hitting through the goalpost from about 60 yards out. I was pissing myself for that guy.
That rattled in off the stanchion, as they say.
That was a Naeem, wasn't it? Do you remember Naeem's goal? That was one of those, wasn't it?
But the trouble is, these people exist, and I don't even find them terrifying. I find them deeply concerning.
Another thing that was proven to me during the week was I was sat there on the Rattler heading to work, bored, flicking through X.
The Rattler? Do the good people at home who haven't dealt drugs before know what a Rattler is?
Okay, the City Thames link from Peterborough into London. And
the steam train from the 1870s, because he's so high class, he goes steam these days.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, he's just described the specific Rattler he was on there, which was originally a combine harvester, by the sounds of it.
So sitting there bored, flicking through Twitter, and after 6 or 7 minutes, I was like, fucking Chris Cowlin. If he was now stood in front of me, I'd throw punch him because he is such a retweet merchant. He makes Fabrizio Romano look original. So I thought, let's see what the public think. And
Look,
everybody.
I don't wish to denigrate people's character here, and this is going to offend some people. And guess what? It's not why I do it. It's because I simply do not care. But the deal with Cowlin is he is painfully autistic. I mean, this guy has written something in the region of about 200 quiz books. Hello?
How many do you own?
Well, only 160, and they're all signed. I keep them in my special quiz book dispenser. I mean, yeah, he's just deranged. I mean, when AI really takes over the world, him shouting, going, "The Daily Mail have reported that 48 feet," he's gone. Because he does look like an invention.
Source Paul O'Keefe. So.
Breaking news. Mourinho has left Fenerbahce. Which club is he go right back in the Premiership? I go
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Spot on, isn't it?
And don't forget that our charming Australian gentleman, he's been linked with Forest because his agent's got nothing better to do. He's finished his bumper book of crossword puzzles he got for the summer.
Just by chance that he's Greek and so's their owner.
Yeah. Yeah. He's almost a stupid. This is a match made in stupid heaven. Yeah. I don't buy that for a minute. So listen, I wanted to discuss with us, and it'd be interesting to hear the thoughts on the audience because clearly there's been a lot of gnashing of teeth.
Luka Vucevic just announced by Hamburg season-long loan, no obligation or opportunity to buy. So that makes me think we're all going for another centre back, and if it could be Nathan Ake, I'd be delighted.
Did you put that around the brick that you arrived in the boardroom with, or did you?
No. When you've got a suicide vest on, it's difficult to find anywhere for the brick to go.
Ding, ding, ding. 31 minutes in, and we've dragged the muzzies into the thing. That's tremendous.
Chris B, our Gaza correspondent, Chris B.
Yeah, and here he is live from Kate Adie's bedroom. So
previously, when you were away, Tone, there were all sorts of insinuations made about me just because I suggested travel routes across the English Channel.
Well,
I think you're
perfectly legitimate thing to do.
I think you're missing a beat here. I thought Tony was with us when you were spouting hate-fueled far right.
I feel you wound me, sir. You wound me.
Can you just keep your voices down as Nigel and Tommy are trying to have a conversation in my kitchen and you're drowning them out?
They're playing hopscotch on your patio, which has been beautifully.
No. Let me speak.
Let me speak. So listen, the last few weeks have been absolutely dreadful, and I'm not standing for it at all. It will not stand that Spurs have redeemed themselves, and that I can almost guarantee is going to be the narrative of all the sucky fucky channels out there. They have literally revealed themselves, more accurately, that if they manage to really screw up and not get the targets they want, they will accidentally buy somebody who looks quite brilliant. So where do we stand in relation to putting pressure onto ENIC? Because I have had some exchanges, Tony, you will love to hear this, with people on the Facebooks thing recently. What are you doing sitting there making your videos moaning? You must be in your element. You're a glass half empty merchant, in my opinion. Well, first of all, thanks for joining in. But second of all, what are you doing? Are you protesting and then filing neatly into the stadium, buying pop and hot dogs and cans of Inch's cider at £8.50? Because if so, you're part of the bloody problem.
These are the fuckers who are at the moment. If someone tweets on Spurs about getting Andrew a birthday present, they're putting their hands in their pockets for him, aren't they? Fuck off.
Yeah, so he can buy some more overcooked steak.
Get another shrimp on the barbie, mate.
So, Chris,
Honestly.
where do you stand on it? Because I've been having conversations with a few people, Simon Spurs, on the what's its name? Oh, then we got another. Oh, there's a full colour nude of Chris there. That's not what you expect before breakfast, is it? But but great to see you doing your dumbbell routine anyway.
I just really good to see his arse is bleached anyway. His arse is bleached.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Keeping it white for the kids.
Yeah.
But no, but I mean, we can't carry out anything that's civil disorder. Luis Figo had a pig's head thrown at him. Manchester United fans committed numerous breaches of the peace to interrupt the stadium. And we've had things before where people have thrown tennis balls on. Getting any aerial stuff done with a plane or drones with a banner is not cost prohibitive, but you do run into civil aviation red tape, and it gets messy. I mean, what is there anything we can do? Because I think the real thing, and I know it's a bit kind of blunt and a bit, but how do we enlighten people, and how do we get them to stop spending money? Because you stop the flow of money to Levy, because that's what cost Angie's job. Angie's feel-good factor was enormous. You can't deny it. There were people waving at buses. Tony was there in the flesh, naked at some points, because his celebrations, he wanted the Lord above to know how happy he was. So he did a reenactment of his christening using a bottle of 7-Up sugar-free. I mean, in the nip. I mean, how do we get through to people? Because this business of, Change for Tottenham recently on their Twitter feed chastised fans. They handed out the customer support email, and apparently people were sending emails with some pretty blunt Anglo-Saxon on it.
We could be novel and we could use submarines. They'd never see that, would they?
They wouldn't see them coming, that's for sure.
It's a great suggestion, Chris, but just two slight faults to it.
Yeah, I can't think what the faults might be, but I'm feeling there may be faults.
I think it might involve a body of water being nearby, being sufficiently nearby. That's the first problem. The second problem is there isn't a sufficient body of water nearby.
Damn, that's that opportunity ruined.
Oh dear.
Good to see you're still head of strategy for that multi-million-pound company.
Yeah.
But is there anything we can do? Because I find this sort of in-bitching between fans unhelpful, although it's quite therapeutic, quite cathartic. But the idea that you go and stand up there and go, leave here, and we are Tottenham TV, classic example of that, where they stood there getting the photo ops in, holding up the bed sheets, and then a few months later, they're in the dining lounge going, oh, thank you ever so much, as they pass the peas.
Personally, I think we give them a bit of time. I think I'm not talking about Enoch and Levy. I'm just talking about Frank. Give him a bit of time to he's had a decent start. Let's just give him a bit of time. If they make a couple of signings, fine. But I think, we wanted all this stuff with Change for Tottenham and all that sort of thing last season was mainly down to because the fact that football was just so fucking dire. And we were sick of just being starved of any sort of credible football. Whereas at the moment, early doors and all that sort of thing, we do have the beginnings of some credible football. Let's just see how that goes for a while before we really start to raise our voices in anger, because by hook or by crook, they may have just stumbled onto the solution. We don't know yet.
Can I give you my 3-word reply to that?
Go for it, then.
Pochettino. We've been here before, and we keep on clinging on for hope that the next guy who has his shoelaces tied together is going to be a 100-meter, world record breaker. But these people get up in the morning and are actively seeking to frustrate the people they employ. And that's why we don't have Paul Mitchell at the football club.
We know the solution. We know the solution is just not turn up to games and just deny them of any sort of financial incentives. But that's not going to happen. That's simply not going to happen.
No, it isn't
not
going to
happen.
We're one of the premier tourist resorts in London. It doesn't matter if hard-working honest fans like myself are not there, they'll sell it to.
Working and honest. Where the fuck did that come from?
I know.
Is this coming from
Questioning that way.
This is the same person.
Honest. I've heard some stretches of the truth and credibility in my time.
Which one, the hard working or the honesty part?
Either of them.
Take your pick.
Take your pick, as they said to the Irishman in the Spade Factory. But I mean, surreal. But no, I just because to me the winds of change are there potentially because there's going to be a lack of Koreans, and don't tell me otherwise, because this isn't a far rightism. This is just a statement of fact. Laughing Boy's gone off to the sunny hills of Los Angeles, wherever the hell he is. But you go to Reddit, which, as we know, is a core central for lefty Democrats in the States and all the rest of it. They're posting pictures of him throwing the opening ball. And they'll say to you, "Oh, I'm grieving. This will go on forever." They can't stop posting photos of this guy smiling, and he's dead to us, absolutely dead. We've given him our thanks, we've cheered him on in his time, but the last 2 seasons were abysmal. I mean, those fans aren't going to be there. He was the key influencing decision-making thing for them, and they're not going to be there.
The whole change for Tottenham, the whole trust, we're just going around in circles. We're having conversations that we've had many times before. How do you try and unseat billionaires when they've got the wealth and the power and the finances to throw at things?
Well, it's with money. It's with the money, because he's only as good as his revenue streams.
And it comes with the territory, doesn't it? If you're prepared to wipe out an indigenous tribe in South America for the purpose of development, you're not going to give one flying fuck about a couple of nasty tweets or emails to the board or somebody flying.
H's legal team is just intervened to say allegedly.
Yeah, well, not only are they saying allegedly, but they're saying make your own mind up and Google Joe Lewis Patagonia. That's Patagonia. That's it, Joe Lewis. Because we don't actually hold any opinion on here. We are mere vessels of emptiness.
I would say at this stage, the views of Crispy are not shared by other experts.
You were the ones who told me.
And for example, I mean, we're just fortunate that Chris has been steered away from his comments about Jonathan, what's his name, the agent who allegedly had a Fritz or Wendy house in his apartment.
42 minutes, and we got Fritz in. Well done, sir.
In fact, this reminds me of a family, and we would be the Manson family.
That's very clever. That's very cerebral, Chris.
We were looking for a contextual link, and there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
So yeah,
the IQ's just raised in the group chat. The IQ's just raised a little bit there, didn't it?
Well, it needed to after some of the stuff that came out in the last 24 hours. I can tell you that. I'll never work again, even in the prison library.
What? Not even Shawshank Redemption.
Just take a magazine. I don't want to talk to you. Just take a magazine. So, I mean, you're going to be there on Saturday, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to invest in 4 or 5 inch ciders. Yeah, why not?
There you go, folks. He's part of the problem.
Yeah,
this is your average change for Tottenham supporter there.
Mr. Suicide Vest. Mr. Suicide.
Yeah, suicide vest, which doesn't contain a house brick. And his cowboy boots and his non-chaffing chaps.
just marble, shrapnel, and some batteries along the way.
Jesus Christ!
You can get that in Tottenham High Street, mate.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, for the benefit of the numerous YouTube restrictions that we've just ploughed through there without even blinking, we are not encouraging, suggesting, or trying to breed those sort of thoughts in people's heads. And if you heard anything that you misconstrued as how to Just don't do it, kids. Don't do it.
Well, stick it. You see in these these programs on the
brick.
you see those programs on the telly where they stick a big disclaimer at the start. This program is only for entertainment purposes.
Bloody hell! Yeah, this is neither instructional or amusing.
Yeah. Don't try this at home, kids. Don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, whatever Chris and his sticky back plastic corner has to offer, avoid.
There you go, guys. There you go. Look at your screens on your phones. Depends whether you choose.
Oh, there we go. Even Fabrizio's saying it now.
Well, he has.
No, all he's doing, I hate to break it to you, boys and girls, but he's just repeating David Ornstein from about an hour ago.
Yeah. Well, I suppose again, until he's on the official Tottenham account, I can't really, you can't still believe it. But it seems to be that it's going that way, doesn't it?
No, I mean Spurs needed to push this through. They've like I'm a stuck record on this, and anybody who wants to say, "Why can't you be happy?" Because I'm not a moron. And this is why we are we're doing very well. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to throw in as well into the mix. The subscriber thing. Thank you for the bump in subscriptions. We're now down to 36.4 of you, which is a third. It's more than a third of you watch us on a routine basis, but you don't subscribe. It's free. Just tap the button. And it will let you know when the thing has been published. It will let you know when there's a live watch along the ding dong thing. And you don't have to get involved. We don't need you to be part of anything. You're not signed up to anything as such. It's just your YouTube channel pledges its interest in our works. And that's wonderful for the algorithm. So if you want to sign up, sign up.
We like to consider it a self-help group, therapy for the.
We are purely here for therapeutic reasons, out of the goodness of our hearts. So yeah, a third of you are watching us all the time, but you haven't subscribed, which is really.
This is the only channel. This is the only channel that regularly gives you your regular dose of serial killers. What else could you ask for?
Serial killers and civil disorder tips,
and no super chats or stickers.
Unless you want them, of course. I'll be out front.
Cowboy hats and boots and chaps.
Yeah, real
unchafing chaps.
Men's men.
Unchafing chaps. Men's men.
When men were men and John Wayne got nervous.
I always like to say women want to be with him, men want to be him.
Well, it's what it says on your business card you showed me, which I've frankly wonder how that got past HR, but perhaps the less of that, the better. So listen, this weekend...
we're missing a very important point, and I will be upset if we do not discuss the Champions League group: Borussia Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain, Villarreal, Frankfurt, Slavia Prague, Bodo Glimt, Copenhagen, and Monaco. I think that's a good group to be in.
Yeah, I think that we won't know until much later in the competition how good the group will be. I know it sounds boring, and I'm sounding like one of those people who says, "Oh, he's not. Until he's holding up the shirt, I refuse to even engage with you." But we've got to beat these teams, and most of us know very little about sides in other divisions, other countries.
The funny thing is, when we beat Eintracht Frankfurt and then Bodo Glimt in the Europa League in successive games last season, people turned around and laughed and said, "Well, you won't play sides like that in the Champions League." Guess what?
Yeah, 100%. But also the geography, the culture, blah blah, of clubs changes significantly, and you can't just go because I look at certain names and think, well, that won't be easy. And then you look where they are in their division, and they're no big shakes. I'm looking forward to the Champions League, but the only reason I'm looking forward to it is because Frank has given me hope because of he's evidenced that he is technically and tactically a far superior beast. And I like the fact that he can do the switch. Whereas, like you say, we had Tora Man from down under, and before then we had 60 shades of Mourinho, who again, I don't dislike as a coach, but he needs to be backed. And this regime, and it takes us back to the other argument, this regime never properly backs anybody. If we're doing it by accident, which we appear to at the moment, that's great, but let's not lose sight of the fact we are doing it by accident. This is not our first ENIC rodeo. We've seen these schmucks before, and this is more by chance than by design. So no smiling and no enjoying yourselves at any point. Otherwise, you're out.
Apart from that,
yeah. But no, it's true though. I mean, unless anybody wants to make a counterclaim, but it's true. We've seen these nitwits have a go at stuff and get it wrong for so long. It's great to see green shoots of recovery, to use the phrase, but how long is it going to last?
That's all it is, though. But that's all it is at the moment. We've got to temper our enthusiasm, curb your enthusiasm, so to speak.
But yeah, Frank to me looks like good stuff. He looks like mustard. He truly does.
But he looks like he's capable of, if we do suddenly hit some poor form, he looks capable of actually working his way out of it, thinking his way out of it. Whereas the old grass whisperer was always completely clueless in that regard and just kept saying, "It's who we are, mate. We'll just keep going, mate." And
what we got from Frank as well, and I have to say this as from one sentient human being to, well, certainly to you, Tony, but we got this.
Motherfucker, I know where you live.
Oh, but you don't. That's the problem.
I know you're in him. I know where you live.
Yeah,
I know where your sister boys are milk.
We'll reenact that scene out of my favourite film, Deliverance. You go be the pig.
Yeah.
I feel almost as unwell as that last thing you said. But no, but the deal with Frank is his dealings with the press, which isn't the be all and end all, but it is worth something in the conversation. He doesn't give up. He explains stuff, but still keeps like the ingredients of the recipe of the secret sauce to himself. Whereas with the last idiot, he was basically saying, well, I've got the secret magic formula handed down by the Druids, and I'm not prepared to share it with you. Well, he was a cretin, an out cretin.
When you want to talk secret sauce, Crispy is the expert. We know what his secret sauce is.
Hold the gherkins. Just drown me in it, baby.
Yeah, you'll be sweating unadulterated testosterone.
I was sweating something on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Just looking at his secret sauce will get you pregnant, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the last time I give up speed. So we've got Bournemouth this weekend. We know Chris is going to be there with his inflatable scarf.
And I'll have, obviously, Dutch flags painted on my cheeks, and I'll be going in wooden clogs and smoking cannabis. Is that enough Dutch links?
Well, if you could mount a cuckoo clock on strap a cuckoo clock to your forehead or something, that would really finish.
Would you like
open a Waffle House to appeal to?
Would you like a smoke and a pancake?
Smoking a pancake. So let's do that crazy. Go on, Chris. Go on. Sorry.
Before we suffer from excited ejaculation around the Bournemouth game, how lucky are we that we didn't go for that Ruben Amorim? Because I know there were plenty of the fan base heralding him as the next big thing, but if you watched him at United the other night, it looked like he'd lost. You had a team there, didn't you? And even that Sesko, why was he taking like the 10th penalty in a shootout? It's ridiculous. He's his star signing centre forward. He should be rattling the first one home. But that anybody who continues picking that Onana in goal when you'd think Douglas Bader would be more capable on his line is absolutely, as they can see it, as clear as Stevie Wonder, can't he?
I think. Look, the business of Manchester United. I've been saying it since Ferguson has gone. They need to eject Ferguson from the building. Thank him very much, but he's an absolute poison. They need to stop referencing him, stop thinking about him, and say we are starting from scratch. Amorim, I don't know him. That's how I describe my relationship with him. I don't want to know him, and it's not Spurs, so I'm a little bit kind of jaundiced. But they've got to stick with something and have a plan and back somebody. if Amorim was good in his previous incarnations, then they're onto something, and they need to try and channel that into what they're doing. But chopping and changing managers, I watched it. I got sent a video yesterday by haters who do all the press conferences, and it was a Vox Pops with Manchester United fans, and I thought it was going to be quite funny because Tottenham fans are just insanely funny, inadvertently insanely funny. They gave us the Basuma brings the vibes line, for example. I mean, just beyond mental health care parameters. But these Man United fans all said the same thing. They all said the same thing. I'm not happy with him, but, you know, we had to put up with 2 or 3 years under Sir Alex. So I think it's worth... and I'm thinking, you've got to stop referencing that guy. It was 3 different generations ago. And you need to build a new house. So I don't know. I don't wish them well. I've never had any affection for Manchester United, but they need to make their choice and stick with it.
So they paint themselves into the corner, though, haven't they, H? They've given them £200 million worth of players. You can't then turn around and say, "Oh, actually, we've changed our mind. We're going to sack him now."
Exactly. Absolute lunacy that way lies.
Their most effective player the other night was Harry Maguire at both sides of the pitch. But even that, Mbuemo, he looks overweight. He doesn't look like he knows what he's supposed to be doing. And the other side, the guy who used to play at Wolves, the Brazilian, they look like they are yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The Brazilian guy. The Brazilian guy used to be at Wolverhampton Wanderers, that guy.
Kuna. They look like they were so rigid in his 4-3-3 that they'd forgot what they were brought to do. And you think, Jesus, we think we had some problems last season. They look on par with them at the moment.
Well, they look like they've not kicked on from last season, because I was expecting, because last season Amorim came in halfway through, didn't he? More or less halfway through, didn't he? I think, and he was going to sort out all the deadwood, get rid of the crap, make some signings, and kick on from there. But so far, especially towards the end, things got progressively worse and worse, even worse than us, for God's sake. I mean, we actually won against them in the Europa League final, for fuck's sake.
Well, this is the other thing I'd say about Manchester United. I think it's a massive. It's indicative of the way they're struggling, that they've got Fernandes as their captain.
Yeah.
Who is filling the shirt? I get the feeling that they get hurt. They hear that Manchester United are in for them, so they're going to be a millionaire again. And then they put the shirt on and go, "Ooh, look, I've got a Manchester United shirt. I didn't have to pay for it, and I've got all these other treats." How are you earning it?
Fragile.
Yeah.
How mentally fragile do you have to be that when a referee just accidentally
you miss a penalty?
You then sort of throw a wobbly because you say, "Oh, he put me off my penalty." For God's sake, man, you're a professional. You do that for a living. You know, if you think the referee just brushing past you accidentally is going to throw you off your way, you've got fans sitting behind the goal, probably telling you to a wanker and all this sort of thing. And if you think that's the best you can do,
what that means? That I always wondered. I get a lot of that in the street. I thought it was people just saying, "Hello, how are you?"
You do have to do it like that, don't you?
Yeah, Chris.
Well, you certainly do, mate.
Chris, you've given me motion sickness doing that. Please don't do that.
I wouldn't say Chris is big. He sticks it in his ear at parties and calls himself a petrol pump.
Oh, it's the old ones are the best ones, aren't they?
The old ones are the best, aren't they?
It's the old ones.
The old ones.
So mentally fragile, isn't he?
How was the swinging holiday, Tone? How was the swinging holiday? Did Turkey appeal?
Did you meet like-minded fellows for fun and frolics?
Did you buy any Steve's Basuma?
A gentleman never tells.
But you're not a gentleman, that's why we asked you.
Any white bits you want to share with us?
Sorry. Nasty old cough there. Nasty old cough.
Right, listen, coming up to the hour mark, and this is
we haven't discussed Bournemouth yet, H, because you were so excited.
That's what I'm about to bloody do. I was going to say any thoughts, predictions, and otherwise for the Cherries fiasco.
I think we will win 3-1.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think it'll be a very hard game because Bournemouth, when they do play well, play very well. So I think it'll be a hard-earned win. I don't think it's going to be any sort of a rollover, but I think we'll probably grind our way to something like 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that. I think that's where I see it going.
You would bring Grinder into this. I mean, has anybody seen? Has anybody seen? Why are you laughing so much, Tony? Has anybody seen Bournemouth?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
It isn't denied until we've confirmed it.
Exactly.
I mean, has anybody seen Bournemouth play in recent times?
Did I watched them against Liverpool when Semenyo scored a couple. He's a threat. He's one we've got to keep an eye on. But they've made wholesale changes, haven't they? They've brought in the Ben Doak, the lad from Liverpool. They've brought in a couple of lads off the continent. So, look, it's all going to come down to every team's beatable. You've got a manager who started really well, but then sort of slipped off the pace last season. So it'll be an entertaining game, but who knows?
Spurs are massive favourites, 8-11, 3-1 the draw, generally speaking, and Bournemouth are out at where are we? 10-3 is pretty much the average. So I mean, you'll get 3 times your fiver back if you back them and they win. And Spurs, you'll barely cover the deposit on your refillable glass. I mean, I would expect Spurs to hopefully quite sort of intellectually romp home. I'd take 2-0. I'd prefer 3 because getting the momentum going at the beginning of a season is something we've never done before. We've had odd blips and a bit of good luck. I mean, even under Ange with the 10 games that we had, that brought us some joy, we really didn't, make any massive inroads. I can't remember how high we got in the division, but we weren't there for very long. And there were more draws that were, we didn't lose a lot of games. I mean, we won 10 games, but we had 10 good games. But no, I think I'd like to see more important than the score, because as I say, I found the Manchester United game quite difficult to watch for certainly large chunks of it, the first half hour maybe. But when you look back at it in the contextually, it was a fantastic win.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Man City game. I'm not sure why you were watching Man United against Grimsby.
Yeah.
Well, I was drinking alcohol. That's the problem. I mean, I was cheering on Brentford in the second half. You should have seen it. It was quite the sight.
I think it's important that we do win this one, though, to keep that kind of that excuse the horrible phrase, to keep that vibe going, because it is really important going into the international break. Yeah. Exactly that. I was just about to say, going into the international break, if we win that, we'll have won our first 3 games. And things are, with Xavi Simons coming on board, that gives the international break. Okay, he'll probably be playing for the Netherlands, but it gives us a bit of time to bed him in as well. And I just think that'll hold us in good stead, because obviously the game when we get back is away to West Ham. We want to go there in real fine fettle. I'm really up for it, because at the moment West Ham this is the game where we've just got to put our throat on them and choke the shit out of them.
No, 100%. And this is going back to the fragile or the weak mindset that still exists within the fan base, because it comes from the club, it comes from the boardroom. This business of you're happy to play catch up, that everything's hanging, like the transfer window, everything's hanging on the last few minutes. That's not the way any business or sporting organisation seeks to conduct itself. Rack up some credit in the bank, get the points in, get the aggregate up. So when tough times do come, when you're really beset by injuries, it's not all hands to the pump, because you've already got a cushion there. It's like businesses that don't put money by to ride through the tough times. Sure, I'll grab whatever over the costs. Money is there as soon as I can get my hands on it, but not if I know that the market is totally unpredictable, because you've got to weather the storm for when you come up short.
gonna hit some barriers. There's gonna be some steps backwards, as it were, because that's just footballing life. That just happens.
Well, it's called
But
cup competitions. It's called cup competitions. It's called rescheduling of competitions. So you'll get to the point where the press are desperately trying to get a quote from the manager that he's got 4 games in the space of 8 or 9 days or whatever it might be, for him to have a little, a little bit of a wee over the whole thing. Well, you need to plan for that, and now is the time to do it. Not 10 minutes before you look at the thing. You look at next week's schedule and go, "Oh, bloody hell!"
As I look at it, when Ange was in charge of the club, it was like Edward Smith captaining your cruise ship. You were always likely to hit that great big chunk of ice. However, I think
they're called icebergs actually, because a chunk of ice is something you might find in a pint glass of cider on a warm day.
Under Thomas, we are going to have a collision every once in a while, but let's just hope it's like the captain of the Concordia, the Italian cruise ship, just a little bit of damage, and we just carry on regardless. There we go. A topical joke that didn't involve too many deaths. Tremendous. Right, we've done the hour. I want my money back. No, that was great, lads. So Bournemouth, we think we're going to win. It's just a question of how we win. And we will be back with you soon. Like I said, apologies we weren't here on Monday, but I had a bit of a... Just very quickly, how is Brendan Johnson continuing to find that knack for being in the right place at the right time? He is, despite all we say about him being an ineffective winger, he knows where the back of the net is. And every game I'm slandering him, and every game I'm having to sit there and say, well done.
You should have seen the live stream, because I was sitting there, not berating him, but just basically saying, I'm bored of him. He can't go past his man. He can't do this. He can't do that. And then the ball's bouncing up and down in the back of the bloody net. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult to argue with a player who can score.
It also asks the question, if you've got Johnson, who's going to be used in some position, you sign, what's his name, Simons, then you've got Maddison to come back, and then you've got Kulusevski, and we might buy another. What hope is there for Mathis Tell? That just looks like the complete biggest waste of £35 million ever.
Well, I'm going to say it again. It's not a waste of £35 million because it was knocked off the Harry Kane bill. That's my theory. That's my tinfoil hat David Icke theory.
Of which we're being litigated at the moment, as I shared that link with you the other day. The more you read, the less attractive it looks to Daniel Levy and Ineos. Yeah,
the business with Ineos looks horrible. That looks like a court case you wouldn't want to walk into.
But that's Levy's priority, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to lose £1 million. I'm going to lose £1 million. I can't have that. I need to have a court case. I mean, for God's sake, man, just think of your image.
Well, this is like the business during COVID when he was trying to claim
furlough.
Furlough. Stop thinking about the pounds, shillings, and pence for a minute, and think about swerving these, should we say, inopportune public relations points. And now we've got this business with the fans as well. We haven't discussed that actually, but we'll keep it brief. The business with fans that if you give your ticket to a family member, they've got to be signed up. So I think it was Simon I was talking to there, gives his ticket that he can't use to his son. His son has now got to go out and spend 50, 60 quid or whatever the bloody thing costs on top of them then charging him a little fee for doing that.
And they wonder why people follow your example, H, and get one of these illegal fast sticks, as it's much cheaper and you're getting more content and you don't even have to pass the age verification to watch a bit of Bluey stuff.
Well, all I can say, again, Chris B, name and address supplied upon demand by anybody who's interested. Great service, would certainly recommend. And I do know where you live.
And other brands of Fire Stick are available.
Yes. Please shop wisely and don't buy one. Don't buy one from those people that sell you the suicide vests, because they are not designed for long-term compatible use with your television or any room you're in.
Yeah, Levy shot himself in the foot so much over so many times, over so many years. It's a wonder he's got any toes left. Honestly, he's just so.
But has anybody ever seen Daniel Levy's toes? Does he? That's the question.
Well,
Does he have toes full stop?
Does he have toes?
I've heard the word webbed used. But no, I mean, what was his real claim to fame where he was rinsing his own tickets on StubHub?
Mm.
I mean, the obscenities behind this guy are just endless. Anyway, we're not going to turn this into a second hour of why we like Daniel Levy and would like to cuddle up and fall asleep next to him. That's certainly not for human consumption. Right, so this is going out. I'm probably going to do a video.
Would you have the same type of relationship with him that you do Manor Solomon? Would you be?
No, I only sleep with real men.
All right, not circumcised ones.
He's gone very quiet on the
Chris, you can't say that. I'd like to distance myself from everything that he's said on this program, just in case I accidentally have missed something that was deeply woundingly offensive.
Everything ever said.
Yeah, and especially the stuff that wasn't said on these live recordings.
Yeah. Anything ever said, anything in between.
Imagine if our chat group ever went public.
Well, like I said, I wouldn't even get a job in the prison library. So, like I say, I might do a short version in praise of this new guy with some data shots put up on the thing, because I think it's important to understand who we bought. We've bought a really good player. Yeah, that's it for now, kids. So, thank you very much for joining us. And listen, don't forget, I know I'm labouring in this, but if a third of you are watching on a regular basis but not subscribing, where does that hate come from? This sounds organised. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it on. And we're done.